In this topic, we'll talk about notifications and logging. Now, often we forget that deployment is really an event for people using our software. Our changes that we make can be disruptive, in a good or bad way, but they're certainly going to change the way the system works. We might fix a bug that a user has been struggling with, but want to make sure that we notify them that this is actually done. We notify them the bug is closed and deployment has been completed. If we don't do that, they might never realize the bug was eliminated. They might continue to do a workaround or continue to avoid using those features, and that's not what we want in our software. And we might also break or alter functionality, in which case users certainly might not appreciate the change, but anybody that's involved in troubleshooting or fixing the bug, they want to know. They want to be aware of what changes were made and use that to troubleshoot and decide how to fix the problem. Our version control system, our CI system, our release management system, they all log and track all the work that's done. And in essence, these systems are providing telemetry and instrumentation into our software development process. And we want to use this information to improve the way that we build software. That's our DevOps way, constantly improving what we do. Now, sometimes all these systems may track too much work, and so we have to limit the retention of older data. And if we choose to do so, we want to be careful that we don't remove too much data. We won't want to compromise our ability to troubleshoot issues or determine what's happened. We do want to ensure that as part of our software development process, though, we're actually aware of what changes are deployed when, and also when we've changed the process, when we've altered our CI or release management process. For many database changes, we'll often make changes in advance of that functionality being used in the application. In that case, it can be difficult sometimes to spot which changes caused a particular problem. So the more information we have about when the changes are made, what actually occurred, the effect on the system, the easier it is for us to determine what the impact is of our work at any point in time. When we release code, we may or may not notify our development teams of successful deployments. But we always want to ensure that our failures trigger some sort of notification because we want a response as quickly as possible. The idea is with DevOps, we want to speed up the feedback loop, speed up the reaction loop. And if some action has caused a problem, we want to deal with it. If somebody doesn't respond in a period of time, we certainly want to be able to escalate that issue to others. We may have monitoring software that maybe help that would trigger an alert if something doesn't work correctly, but perhaps not. In any case, we want to ensure somewhere in our system that we will actually trigger an alert. We want to be especially careful in production because some deployment systems may disable monitoring on the database until the deployment is actually complete. Right? It's a maintenance mode. In that case, if the deployment has an issue, we have to notify somebody in operations, a DBA, a developer, somebody as quickly as possible. Now for our database deployments, we want to ensure that we can easily trace through logs and understand which changes were included in each deployment. Ideally, we want to maintain that upgrade script for every release so that we can review it and we can check if there's things didn't work well or if they did work well. But we also want some report that lists the changes made, something that's easy to understand and very quickly allows us to troubleshoot and determine if an issue is related to this deployment. This allows us to use our knowledge of how the system works to determine which release might have caused an issue as quickly as possible. The last thing we may want to do is when we've completed database development and we've deployed those changes, often it is good to let developers know that we actually have deployed their work. Perhaps we even want to let database architects know as well so that they know that the changes they proposed, the tables, the schema, anything they've altered has actually made it through to production, and they can assume that that's there for all future work. Development can be a chaotic, kind of hectic environment, and lots of people are working on writing code and they become focused and immersed on just their work, and they may forget about things that they've already completed that are moving downstream, and they certainly may not look at things coming. As a result, when they hear about a change or proposed change, they might not realize that what is actually deployed to production might be different from what they expect, or what they actually wrote might have been bug fixed by somebody else and deployed. And they want to be sure that what they actually planned on and what they built is deployed. This is certainly true for architects. They want to make sure that anything that they've proposed has actually made it through to production. Whenever you have a chance to share this information with others, do so. That's a key part of DevOps. We want to make sure we have transparency, communication, and we're sharing information to everybody in the software development pipeline. Now, people may not want a direct notification. Certainly, though, there are other ways that we can provide information and make it visible to everybody. Maybe your release process will place a notification in a Slack channel. Visual Studio Team Services has a tremendous number of plugins that allow us to send notifications and messages to all sorts of systems. So Slack or Trello or some other medium that you use may be a place where you just want to make a note that something has occurred. Kind of perform a logging action that somebody can view, and that's visible to them if they need to. It's a good way to separate your login information and your notifications to others from actually the noise and notifications we always get in email and other ways. Use some other medium that makes it easier for people to find information but isn't disruptive for their work.